What's up, everybody? This is Kelly, and this is Everything in Between. Today, we're going to talk about race. We're going to talk about seeing race. And what I mean is, being able to identify with each other and not clouding your mind or, thinking that if I raise my children not to see race or I don't see color and things that I hear people saying in Facebook posts and things when there's like a racially motivated video or post out, you'll see in the comments where a lot of white people will say, this is why I don't, see color. I, raise my children not to see color and this and that. You're going about it all wrong. You want to see color. You want to raise your children to see color. Now, the way you interpret that, especially if you're a white person with maybe a racist past or your parents or your uncle or mother, somebody's racist, then that sounds crazy to you because you're thinking, wait a minute, all my life I've grown up and seeing them see race in a negative way and talk about what they see or what they interpret. Well, you want to still see race, but what you want to do differently is embrace it where they may have looked at it and been threatened by it or not liked it or, hated it. You still want to see what they see. You just want to embrace, well, not what they see. You want to see what you see, but you want to do it in a more mature way of thinking in a way that you can embrace our differences. Okay, so I'll give you some examples on to try to help you understand this because this is a no judgment zone. However, I do tell it like it is. So no offense to anybody. I'll put that disclaimer out, but this channel is all about the truth as I see it through my eyes. And so I'm going to share that with you. You're welcome to put your comments down below. Keep it, grown up and keep it mature. You don't have to agree with me, but there's no name calling and negativity. But feel free to respond. So a great example of this, I like to say, I guess a visual analogy would be, like say you went to a football game, okay? You bought your tickets, it was your favorite team, you go sit in the stands, and when the whistle blows or when the first kick is ready or they start the game, you just decide to stare at the AstroTurf. So you're in the stands, you bought these tickets, and you look at the AstroTurf or the grass, and that's all you look at the whole game. You don't see anything else. Now you're there. You're identifying with being at a football game, and you know you're there, and you want to be there, and you like being there. But you're going to watch the game from the view of the AstroTurf only. You're not going to see the players' faces. You're not going to see what colors they're wearing or who got the touchdown. So can you imagine sitting in the stands and watching a whole football game and watching the grass? So, but you're there. So could somebody say you didn't go? No. Could somebody say, hey, did you enjoy that game? And you could say, yeah, I did. And you'd still be telling the truth. And you could say, I went to a football game. But you can't say that you saw the game. Okay, so that's how I have to explain it to a lot of people. When you don't see color and you don't see race, then you don't see the world. You're missing out on a lot of things. Okay, so that's my analogy. But I also want to talk about, like, for instance, where does that come into play with what you must see? I'll tell you. For instance, if say for instance you have a white child and he or she has a black friend, you may want to say, hey, Katie or Jennifer, your friend is a beautiful girl and you can go on play dates, but, and I want you to just see her as, a regular person because God loves her too. And you'll pat yourself on the back because you're teaching your child to embrace her little black friend as the same. She's not the same. You shouldn't do that. So what you do is you tell her everything's the same as far as the love for her, and the play dates can be the same. She can come over but she's a black girl or he's a black boy, and it depending on the age of your child, of course, you have to let them know that things are different for them. Now, just because things are different for us as black people does not mean it's a pity party. I know that some people will automatically jump to the conclusion that when we say things are different for us, that is some kind of way that we're also, oh my God, woe is me. No, we're just different, So life is a little bit different. So you don't have to necessarily instill that in your kids, like specifics of why it's different, but you definitely, in my opinion, you want to let them know that life is a little bit different, especially when they get to the tween and teen age years. Things are just going to be different no matter how much you don't want it to be. And this goes for even if you have some blacks in your family. If you have a black son that you adopted, or you married into a black family and you have biracial children, you can't live with your head in the sand. Life is different, and as bad as you don't want it to be, you have to see race to heal. So as a white person, if you don't have this opportunity to ask somebody, or you don't have many black friends that you can go to find out about this video should help you tremendously on what to do and how to rewire your brain to actually see race. Okay. For instance, here's another example with the Black Lives Matter. Now, there's not much more I can beat a dead horse with the whole fact that all lives actually matter. We all know that. But we also all know, or you should know by now, that Black Lives Matter is just what it is, that Black Lives Matter. So does that mean that your life doesn't matter? Absolutely not. It just means that our lives matter too. So if you still are hung up on all lives matter, newsflash, you have got to see race. Okay, you are a prime example of what I'm talking about. You want to say all lives matter because you want this world to be a kumbaya moment, but the United States has a history, of one that we cannot erase, that has bled over into this 2018, and it is what it is. So stop hiding and stop to take your head out of the sand and understand that yes, obviously all lives matter, but Black Lives Matter, meaning that we are just as entitled to the same due process and justice system that white counterparts have, and we don't get it. So our lives matter also. So that's a great example of seeing race for what it is. If you think that Shaun King, or if you think that Beyonce was trying to protest something that was racist towards you or white people at the Super Bowl last year, you're not seeing race. What you have done is you categorize Beyonce into the same circle of or category that you're used to being in, or that you know as normal. And which brings another good point with black celebrities. A lot of white people get so stunned when they have to realize that a black celebrity is actually black. Like Oprah. I love Oprah. Oprah is like one of my idols. And you know what? She's a black woman, and she has a lot of people who love her too that are white. But when she did that speech, and start speaking on race, or anytime people, celebrities like her, start talking about race, all of a sudden you see all these posts about Oprah is this and Oprah is that. Like with Beyonce, there were like people who wouldn't let their child listen to Beyonce anymore because she did a tribute to the Black Panthers. Are you kidding me? This is not going to be about that because that's a whole nother video. I'm going to keep it focused here. Is that seeing race is understanding that black celebrities are still black. Once you start putting them in the category of being like you, or the good ones, or the good blacks, then that's where you're losing. That's where you're losing, and you got to round yourself back up and understand that that's part of the problem. Now, on the other hand, some would disagree and say that all along this history has seen race. For instance, O.J. Simpson. I'm not going to go into if I thought he did it or not, but what I will say is that he quickly became a you know what, okay? So it didn't, as much as he was revered and loved and praised and everybody loved him, but as soon as that happened, they saw race, didn't they? So what I mean is not in the sense of seeing race for the negative part, but seeing race for positivity, or even just acknowledgement, so that you can move forward. So I hope that example was a good one with the celebrities, because actually I think that's a great one, only because whenever a black celebrity does anything that messes up the flow of what a white America thinks is normal or acceptable, then all of a sudden they're black again. And it's almost like a shock, like, oh my God, they're black. See race, okay? Understand that. And if you saw race, that wouldn't be such a shock to you. So let's see, I wrote some other ones down. Here's another thing about Black Lives Matter. So this is another thing. Black people in general have always been much more welcoming, I should say. Black Lives Matter is not a racist movement. It's not a racist entity. What Black Lives Matter is a movement. It is a movement, but it's not a racist movement. It's not to exclude other people's value. So understand that black people in general would not have a group that would exclude people and and protest with it. Do you see? Because if that's the case, then that would sound more like Aryan Nation type stuff, right? So we're not that. So to say that Black Lives Matter is any way, shape, or form like some of these other racist hate groups and white privilege race, white supremacist premise race groups, is saying that Black Lives Matter is on that same level. And never could you be such any more wrong than that, because that's just not what Black Lives Matters is about. Now this video is not about Black Lives Matter, so I'm gonna move on. For instance, Black History Month. I've heard people say, why is there Black History Month? Well, you have to see race to know why. I mean, I've heard people say, why isn't there White History Month? Why would there be White History Month? There's been white history. So see race, okay? All of that has to go with it. It all goes together, guys. You know, you got to see race in order to heal. So I hope that this was hopeful that this was helpful to you, that you are able to identify with seeing race. I'm going to do a part 2 of this because I want to give better examples of how you need to see race and what it will do for your life. It can be, it really goes deep. Dance classes, the way, if you're a teacher, that you teach, if you're a coach, the way you coach, if you're a mentor, the way you mentor, if you're a hairstylist, the way you style hair. I mean, literally every aspect of your life that deals with another race, you have to incorporate seeing race in order to make yourself better in that job, in that profession, or what have you. Or even at your job, you may have an African American supervisor. If you don't see race, it may not be a good thing for you. You need to see race so that you can identify with how to communicate. Okay, so this is part 1. We're going to do part 2. If you guys please would subscribe to my channel and click the bell button so that you can get notifications when I'm doing another video. I really appreciate it. If you've listened this long, then obviously you are very interested in this, and I appreciate it. So again, click the like button, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you soon. Thanks.